the question would be is what would you do? What would be the first steps for a man who is lost, has no purpose, and might have dug himself into a hole? What are the first steps for them to unfuck their lives?
Well, in order to unfuck your life, there's a couple of things. Like there's how do we fix the situation, and then there's how do we change our mental mind state. As far as your mind state, one of the things that I found is that a lot of people fuck their lives up because they don't give themselves permission. One of my favorite books for that is how to what did it go? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I also really like The Power of Now, I like the book Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. I actually recommend for guys who are kind of in that rut to adopt reading, adopt audiobooks. I really think that listening to people who have gone through tribulations, who have gone through vicissitudes that you've never experienced or stuff that you've already gone through, and listening to them get through these challenges is incredibly motivating. And I found that was very helpful for me. I went through a very dark period when my father was killed by a drunk driver. The girl and I broke up. The girl I was seeing, she didn't even break up with me. She just, like, when I was deployed to the Middle East right after my dad died, she just was with some other dude on MySpace. I go through a really bad period. I started developing autoimmune disorder. All this kind of stuff was happening at the same time. And it was one of these situations where I had suffered enough, and I found a set of books and a few mentors to follow. And after that, man, it was just the sky's the limit. It was just a rocket ship up. So that's what I would highly recommend for people, is to find a book list. Like, we have a book list with MOA. If you guys want to fix your social life, though, like, so we talked about fixing what's wrong on the inside. If you want to fix what's wrong on the outside, the things that you have to do is the first 4 steps in MOA. I would recommend everybody fix their social media. There's nothing that you can do that can possibly scale more than having really, really good social media as a man, as far as networking. One thing we specialize with in MOA is if you want to use social media for your business and your dating life, we're kind of like the perfect place to mesh those two things together. And I personally believe the apex of human existence, other than having a family, is for men to accomplish goals together with other men. And so in order to do that, you got to learn how networking works as an evolutionary adaptation. And that's what we teach you in the course, try to get you to understand these concepts of, being able to offer value to other people, ask for very little in return, and have this incredible group of friends. One of the things I really try to look for and try to help the students or clients that come through my program is I want all of their friends to meet their girlfriends through you. I want all of your friends to get their jobs through you. I want all your friends to find your employees through you. I want all your friends to find your sponsors through you. You should be the hub of the social wheel that everybody counts on. And so there's different ways to do that. But we use a scientific based approach in order to figure out how to make that work.
Awesome, awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Any insight for that, Luke?
I mean, yeah, just the evolution of desire by Dr. David Buzz. Mate, reading books gives you those real life applications of how these things work. Like, Mike, I'm sure you know the saying "fuck your feelings." Like,
yeah,
facts don't care about your
that
feelings.
was Gad Saad.
That's literally like what MOA is based on. Just, all right, man. Yeah. Like, you're a man. Your value is based on your performance and the value you provide to society. You don't wake up and think you're a 10 like some chick on Fresh and Fit.
Yeah,
you're actually have to provide value. So, love that.
Yeah, and one thing you were saying about how you went through a troubling time, and then when you went through that troubling time, just kind of listening to what you're saying, is that when you really started looking into personal development and getting yourself better? Or was there times before that while you're in that relationship where you're like, man, I really got to get after as well?
No, actually, I'd probably say the beginning for personal development for me was probably 2004. I was stationed at Altus, Oklahoma, Altus Air Force Base. And if you guys have ever been there, there's nothing but tarantulas and snakes. Like, it's just flat as shit out there. I was stationed out there for a couple months, and while I was there, I found Friendster, and then I found MySpace, and then there was an advertisement for a thing called Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo. His real name's Evan Pagan, and I watched the Double Your Dating course back then in 2004, and it was interesting because it was obviously about dating, but I was like, what are the other things that I could improve through self-help? And just finding some really incredible people. Probably in 4 years after that, 2008, I started coaching. And so it was just one of these places where, like, men helping other men to level up. Because a lot of times, this is the dirty little secret. Men leveling up is not something that's taught in schools. And societally, like, for instance, the two of you learning how to be better with women, do you guys understand that's offensive to a lot of people? You should get what you get. If you're an ugly dude, you should just have an ugly chick. That's the way the world looks at you. And the idea that you leveled up and got a hotter girl, that's offensive to a lot of people who really like the status quo. So that's one thing I figured is like I started learning about from people who were smarter than me, people who understood business better than me, people who were faster readers than me, people who were in better shape than me. I started learning from as many of these mentors as I possibly could. And from learning from these mentors, man, it was just so incredibly beneficial, man. You just really level up super fast. When you see something can be done, when you meet somebody like Wes Watson, for instance, the guy went to jail for 10 years for attempted murder. If you meet Ryan Stewman, who went to jail for like 5 years for selling dope, and then you see these guys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars now from their programs that they teach where they just offer massive amounts of value, you look at yourself and you're like, I didn't go to jail for 10 years. I don't have any fucking excuse to not be able to pull this off. When you meet guys like, there's some guys who are in Men of Action who are under 5'3" and just surrounded by women all the time. Guys in my program who are Indian or Asian, they don't have those excuses that other people have about why women don't like them. If those motherfuckers can do it, why can't you do it? You have no excuse. You have no excuse. If Nick Santonastasso, who was born with missing 2 legs and an arm, is dating a supermodel, you don't have a fucking excuse. And so that's one of the things, like seeing mentors actually accomplish goals really fights off the natural excuses that people have, the excuses and the copes that people make for themselves. And that's why I think it's just so important. Finding, if you were to say, like, what is the number one piece of advice I ever got, is when Ty Lopez told me to find mentors.